bets on the Tuesday slate. Only a couple of games in the ALDS. We have a sweep with the Rangers and a sweep with the entire AL East. Nobody getting a single win. That's crazy across the board. Astros take the series lead again 2-1. They have a game 4 tonight. Then we have a couple of game 3s in the NLDS. Going to get into all that. Going to touch in on some football coming up for this weekend. And hopefully we can put together a nice little week here. Only one bet on the week so far that's happened, but we have a bunch of bets already out for college football and for NFL this weekend. John, how you doing today?
Okay, been a little bit quiet this week, but as I tell everybody, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. When we have a good bet, we'll bet. That's why we are 29-9-1 through the 5 weeks of NFL season already. Again, I'll tell you guys all the time, every time I see one of these pretenders, whether it's Instagram or whatever other social media is out there, they've got to bet every Sunday night, every Thursday night, every Monday night game. They got the college bets. They can tell you who's going to win tennis matches, croquet games. They know every sport. They've got to bet for everything. That's not us. We're here. We give you bets when we make a real bet. We got one in baseball today that I absolutely love, and a bunch of NFL, a couple of totals, and 4 college bets already. So, I liked what I saw with this college slate. So we'll hit a little bit of everything today, Ben.
Yep, let's go ahead and dive in. We'll start with some of these NLDS matches. We have Braves at Philly, one of the earlier games going on the card today. Obviously, that game 2, Phillies go up early. Wheeler looked great early, and then just a couple of mistakes here and there, and it slowly fell apart. Slipped away the game. Did they slip away the series? That's one of those things where you saw the momentum turning, going towards Atlanta's favor. How much does that carry over now into game 3? Then you have Nola versus Elder today. Elder was really good at the start of the season. Really had a massive fall off down the backstretch. Nola, he wasn't as good as last season, but still pretty solid. Very up and down the stretch though. Very good. He's coming off 3 straight quality starts. One of those in the wild card. 7 shutout innings against the Marlins and 3 starts versus the Braves this year. The last 2 of them were both quality starts. One of those as recent as September 20th. So pitching good ball, had a quality start versus the Braves last year in the NLDS. Give Nola the pitching edge, and just going to be interesting to see how Atlanta shows up now. Obviously, Philly, probably the biggest home edge in the entire postseason, so obviously they have that going for them. Will be a slight lean here to the Phillies, but I'm not looking to lay any juice in this series between, are the 2 best teams in the NL left, really.
2 best teams. Look, I said about the midpoint of the year that this was Atlanta's championship to win. Their pitching ran into some problems after that. Fried goes back on the IL. Morton goes on the IL. Elder, who's pitching today, falls off the map from what he was earlier in the year. As a matter of fact, let me just throw these last 3 starts at you for Elder. 13 runs off 19 hits with 9 walks. That's 28 base runners in 12 and a third innings. A whip well over 2. So 13 runs, 19 hits, 9 walks in 12 and a third innings. Included in one of those starts was a September 20th matchup against the Phillies. The Phillies tagged him for 4 runs in 3 2/3 innings. He did have a great game. 7 shutout innings at Philly, but that was earlier in the year. That was in June when he was in pitching really good. He's a different pitcher now. So is Nola. Nola, rough regular season by his standards, but it's money time. It's playoff time. Nola did a great job against the Braves last year in the playoffs. He'll do another good job again today. These are, like I said, these are 2 of the top teams. Only thing that's stopping me from laying this small number with Philly, what a tough loss we took with them the other night. Is that the blow that turns the series around? We've talked about it. The Braves team hitting is unlike any team hitting that I've seen. They tied the major league record with 307 home runs this year. They get 2 2-run homers, 1 in the 7th, 1 in the 8th, totally turned that game around. Wheeler had the game under control, pitching great.
No.
So it was, I think ESPN showed they were at a 92% chance to go on to victory. To have that game taken away, they've got all the momentum now. I just definitely cannot get behind Elder. Pitching matchup goes to Philly. Philly, a nobody in this one, but it's just tough. I can't lay the price.
Yeah, I think with Elder too, young guy. We've seen that already with Rodriguez. We saw that with Creamer. We saw that with Miller for the Dodgers. All these young starters getting roughed up early. So Elder, put him in that conversation. And in this next one as well, Astros at Twins, Joe Ryan.
Because you mentioned Creamer when we talked about him yesterday, and we just knew not only he just wasn't pitching great going towards the end of the season, hadn't completed 6 innings. He had a lot of other issues going on. And you just felt for him getting crushed out there yesterday. This Texas team, wow, what a turnaround from the final few games of the season, losing 3 of 4 at Seattle, falling from first place. I thought they were going to get knocked out in the wild card round, but man, did they rebound, bang out Tampa Bay 2 games in a row. And as Ben said, the AL East, by far the best division in baseball, gets swept out of the playoffs. Texas does that and then just crush the team with the best record in the AL, Baltimore Orioles. So hats off to the Orioles. Looking for it'll be a Texas showdown. It looks like Houston and Texas going at it in the ALCS.
Yeah, big credit also to Eovaldi, who came back from that injury, looked horrible. Now all of a sudden back in the playoffs, back-to-back quality starts, back to looking like he was earlier in May and June. And, hey, if he's back, they got Montgomery looking good. I mean, that's a pretty good 1-2 punch. And there's the rumors that Scherzer could come back at some point. So we'll see. Texas might have something to work with there. But the other ALDS matchup, Houston at Minnesota. Ryan going today for the Twins, another younger pitcher. We'll see what he goes. And he did not have the best time down the stretch. 1-2, 6.20 ERA, 5 starts. Granted, one of those was at Coors Field, but still not a good close to the season. Houston, they got out to Gray early last year. I believe that was the first time in over 2 years that Sonny Gray has given up multiple home runs in a start. And we talk about that all the time with Sonny Gray. He's not a guy that gets you blown out of the game. Like, yes, he won't be lights out all the time, but he'll give up his 3 runs or so and keep you in the game. Didn't happen yesterday. Houston getting it done on the road. Now, they are going with Urquidy. I don't like that much. But again, a playoff experience. And I'll take a pitcher not looking as great with playoff experience over one who's not looking as great and as young, no playoff experience. And we've kind of seen that shape up a little bit across these playoffs. We've seen some of these guys kind of find stride a little bit. We've seen that with Nola. We saw that with Eovaldi. And we'll see if Urquidy can give them any type of quality innings. And he's not expected to go too far in this game. Houston getting it done on the road this season. Better road record than what Twins have at home. And Bats absolutely red hot in Minnesota. I think Twins got their one for the series. This is Astros all the way.
Yeah, I think the Astros wrap it up tonight. This is our free bet, guys. Took Astros plus 112 last night. 2-unit bet. Astros different on the road. Last 18 road games, they are now 15-3, scoring 7.94 runs per game, batting .326. That's fire. Those bats are on fire. This is the team, as it is Atlanta's NL championship to lose. It's Houston's championship to lose. They're the defending world champions. They're red hot. Minnesota bats just not getting it done. Even though they won the first couple of games at Tampa at home, the bats are struggling. Minnesota right now, what I got them at there, while they've won 3 of the 5 postseason games, scoring just 3.2 runs per game, hitting just .219. And if it wasn't for Korea having a phenomenal series postseason, they'd be batting under $180. So got a red hot Astros team on the road against Minnie that's not hitting the ball well. Ryan, on top of his last few outings that were not good, Astros assaulted him twice in 2 outings this year. So while Urquidy's not the best pitcher, he'll get the job done. His last, after coming off a 3-month stint on the IL, his last game that he's out there, he throws 6 shutout innings at Arizona, who's only hit the most home runs in the postseason right now. So he looked good in his last one. He got them 6 innings. If he can get them 6 innings today, this series is over. And as I said, it'll be an all-Texas ALCS.
Yeah, you talk about that Astros road success. If it is an all-Texas ALCS, obviously they own that a little bit. They even won 6 of 7 at Texas this year. So We'll see if they get that matchup. And obviously, that's going to be one that favors Houston based off the history and, again, experience. And then last matchup of the day, Dodgers at the D-backs. Dodgers trying to avoid being another team getting swept here. Going to be Lynn versus Fat. Now, Fat is rough outing at Milwaukee. Had a rough September, 4.32 there. At Milwaukee, gave up 3 runs, 7 hits, and just 2 2/3. Lynn looked good down the stretch. 3 of his 4 starts, quality starts. Last one was at San Francisco on the 29th. But granted, that was a San Francisco team. He had 2 starts again in that 4-game stretch who kind of recently been eliminated from playoff contention. So an offense that was already dead down the last stretch of the season. And then obviously even further so after not having any playoff hope. So take that with a bit of a grain of salt, those Lynn numbers. The extra time off, is that going to be good? Is that going to be bad? We'll wait to find out. All I know is that this Arizona team on this 4-game win streak they have in the postseason, all 4 road games, they have been able to get to Kershaw, to Peralta, to Corbin Burns. None of those guys on the same level, or Lance Lynn, not on the same level as any of those guys. So I expect them to get to Lynn in the same light. I expect this Dodgers lineups to be able to get to Fat. And we saw with the Rangers. I mean, the Rangers did the same thing. 4 straight road games in the wild card, in the first 2 of the ALDS. You come back home for the first time in however many years, what was it, since 2016, have been in the playoffs. Similar thing for Arizona. I've been in the playoffs for a while. You win 4 straight, come back home. Going to be a very intense home environment. I expect runs. I think both pitchers get gotten to. And Arizona, I mean, hey, this Dodgers lineup can put up runs, but Arizona's swinging the hotter bats right now. So lean D-backs and definitely like the over in this one. I think we're going to get runs tonight.
Well, Ben, you lean D-backs and the shops are all over it. They took this number down from plus 140. Excuse me. The open line was Dodgers minus 140. It's now down to minus 120. So they're all over Arizona. I just could not pull the trigger on Fat. Besides getting smacked hard at Milwaukee, Dodgers absolutely crushed them twice in August. And while Lynn's number are a little suspect, not against great teams, and they were 2 of his last 3 starts were at home, Dodger Stadium, the notorious pitcher's ballpark. He's not as good on the road, especially since he's been with the Dodgers. But he has pitched decent. He's the veteran in this one. Yep. Look, the Dodgers are still the Dodgers at minus 120. Look, at plus 130, I just saw no value with Arizona with Fat on the mound. Yes, Arizona crushing the ball, 4 straight road victories. Can they come home and get it done? This is a must game for the Dodgers. This is still the Dodgers. I just couldn't get behind Fat. Like I see with the Sharps and Ben C with the live bats. Just couldn't get behind this pitching matchup. I'll stay off of this one.
We'll see where those games go. We'll see if we end up getting a game 4 in that NLDS matchup. Obviously, we'll get one with Braves and Phillies. We'll see who has the lead, and maybe a game 5 tonight. We'll see who closes out. Then we can talk a little bit about football coming up this weekend. We talked about a lot of bets already out for members. That is 4 in college ball, and what is it, 4 in the NFL as well? 5 in the NFL at this point.
So we've got. I'm actually waiting right now to make another one, but we've got. Let's count them up.
Yeah.
4 in college, and we have got 1 under, 2 unders, and 2 sides. It looks like so far 4 NFL bets also, but definitely have. I'm waiting to make another bet. Could be at any moment.
So that's what it is. 4 and 4, and another one coming soon. We can talk about, let's go in depth a little bit maybe about this Ravens-Titans game. It'll be another early London game. We can go in on this one a little bit. Obviously, since on the weekend, we don't really do these that much, and you guys can come back in, maybe catch a little bit of this for that early game. Ravens going out there, Titans going out there. It's always a weird trip going out to London. I don't know if you guys saw the conversation Roger Goodell had. He did a little bit of an interview, and they were talking about Jacksonville having the 2 games in a row in London. And he was talking about how this was a kind of a trial year, what it would be like if they moved a team out there. How is it going to affect a team to spend 2 weeks out there? And that second game out there, is it going to be beneficial to them? Are they going to come back, and is it going to be worse for the team who gets – for the Bills in that situation? How much of a handicap factor is it to benefit Jacksonville having that second week out there? And honestly, they kind of did it in a pretty, obviously I'm on the NFL commissioner's box, but scheduling wise, if you think about it, they're trying to see how much of an advantage it is for the Jags to get a second game in a row out there. You said one of the best teams in football in Buffalo, and they want to see how much of an issue it is when they come back home. They get a team they absolutely own in the Colts. So they should still take care of business against the Colts. How much of that will affect them? And then obviously the Bills, they were to get that win. So scheduling wise, very interesting how they're messing with it. This one, not as in depth of a problem with that. Ravens coming off a very tough loss there against Pittsburgh, led the most of the way through. Tennessee, on the other hand, they just got beat by Indy, a team that had won 5 straight against division loss, tough loss there. Both teams a little bit banged up. You have this Baltimore team offensively. They haven't really been healthy from the start of the season. It started off with some backs you lose and wide receivers get hurt. You have O-line issues. And then you have this Tennessee team who has Ryan Tannehill as their quarterback, and they haven't had a passing game. So if you're not running all over teams, you're having problems. And Baltimore, they're just up there as far as rushing yards allowed, top 10 rushing yards allowed. They're up there with the Eagles as far as being able to dominate both sides of the football on the ground. And it's going to be a tough matchup there for Tennessee. You got to be a lean to Baltimore, but expect a lot of running in this football game.
Look, the Sharps jumped on this one yesterday. Baltimore was sitting at 3 minus 125, 3 minus 130, some 3.5. I would have laid a 3 flat on this game. That extra juice or that hook, very important in this game. I figure this to be another low-scoring game. The one reason I just didn't lay that, this is going to be the Ravens' 3rd road game. 3rd in a row, and the first 2 are our division rivals. Cleveland, they win at Cleveland. They beat the Browns without Watson, the quarterback. Then they have that they lay an egg. We had the Steelers. They go lay an egg in Pittsburgh after having a 10-0 lead with 12:20 left in the second quarter. They don't score the rest of the day. So now they're going to have a 3rd road game. And while Baltimore does what they do, they run the ball great. Tennessee does stop the run. Usually very good against the run, except last week. Moss and Taylor ran all over them, mostly Moss. They gave up 100. Where's my numbers? They gave up 190-something yards last week. But they're still ninth, allowing 94.6 rushing yards per game. Going to be a tough game, low-scoring game. Like I said, that's why I didn't want to lay anything over a field goal. 3 games in a row on the road for the Ravens. Offense been inept. They are getting healthier. They got a little healthier last week, so maybe that takes the rust off, takes a week of the rust off. But this trip to London is real. It just slows everybody down. 2 games in the last 2 weeks. Jaguars, both games went under. I'm expecting another low-scoring game to be right there, looking like one of these 21-17 games.
Yeah, it's just the trip itself. They have the time change, everything that adds into that. Definitely a lot that throws off everyone going there. It'll be 2 teams making that trip at the same time, so we'll see how that affects things. Interesting game to me, John. We actually haven't talked too much about this one between ourselves, but Vikings and the Bears, a couple of 1-4 NFC North teams. And this is kind of prove it time. Are the Vikings as bad as they looked? And just 12 turnovers, 8 fumbles, timely fumbles too, with red zone fumbles, red zone turnovers. I feel like they're not as bad as they're looking, but I know your favorite quote there is you are what you are. And that's what it's starting to look like a little bit for Minnesota here. So can they go on the road to Chicago, a team they've obviously owned in division-wise? They've won for the last 4 meetings, and they've won the last 3 trips to Chicago. Do we continue to see that division ownership here?
The Vikings are done. They play superstar wide receiver Jefferson on injured reserve. They're sitting at 1-4. Now you're hearing the trade rumors about Cousins. Trade deadline coming up in a couple of weeks. Cousins leads the NFL with 13 touchdown passes. He's 2nd in total passing yards. And the Vikings are 1-4. Okay, you're going to take away not only his best wide receiver, one of the best wide receivers, if not the best wide receiver in the game.
Yep.
The inner turmoil about the team talking about blowing it up and trading Cousins, they're just going to Chicago at the wrong time. Chicago played its best game, not only this year, in basically 2 years. They snap a 14-game losing streak. last week on the road at Washington, and they did it on a Thursday night. So they get a little extra time. Fields, while I'm still not sold on him as a quarterback, looks like he's developed a little something with DJ Moore. They connected for 8 passes for 230 yards, 3 touchdowns, and Fields threw another one also. Bad spot for the Vikings. Like I said, you lose your best wide receiver. Talking about trading your quarterback, they go on the road. Bears have had the extra rest. They lose a tough game last week, the Vikings. Just not a good spot for them. But the line's right where I feel it should be. Vikings 2.5.
Yeah, going to be a tough game. And honestly, for Fields, last 2 games against some bottom tier defenses. Minnesota, not a great defense, but a bit better than what they've seen the last 2 weeks with Denver and such. And Fields, what can he do? What can he get going here? And you bring up the trade rumors with Minnesota. I mean, it kind of seems like a lot of these teams, New England up in that conversation as well, are okay with the losses coming this season. This is one of the deeper quarterback draft classes coming up. Obviously, all the talk is around Caleb Williams, but outside of that, there's 3 or 4 really good QBs coming in this draft. And if they were decided to trade for Cousins, take the L's, could set them up nicely for that.
Yeah, look, I don't think Kirk Cousins is taking anybody to any Super Bowl. He's got stats because, once again, he's got probably the best wide receiver in the league in Jefferson. Problem is, he ain't going to have him this Sunday. And ain't going to have him for the next 4 weeks. He's been placed on the IR. So I wouldn't be mortgaging futures to get Kirk Cousins. He's never done it before. Well, what's telling me he's going to do it now? As far as you get guys that are on the hot seat, Mac Jones, the quarterback in New England, hard. I mean, it's got to be rough on New England fans after having TB12 all those years. And now you're looking at this kid play quarterback. They have scored a total of, count them, 3 points in the last 2 weeks, getting totally destroyed at Dallas and then getting embarrassed at home, 34-0. We had the under on that game. And the only feel we had was New Orleans had to stop scoring. It was just a total giveaway. I think they had 159 total yards. Belichick has come out and said Mac Jones will remain the quarterback, and that's only because the backup Zap is even worse. Can this be 3 games in a row? Belichick's never had 2 losses back-to-back this bad. This is a Hall of Fame coach. I think he gets these guys in shape. You're catching a Vegas team off the short week. They played Monday. Watching them in Green Bay was like watching grass grow. Those were 2 other putrid offenses. There's another game that looks like if you could take points, it looks like to be another 21-17 type game, 2017 type game. So, yeah, but I expect in New England to come. Look, New England started the season 2 home games.
Yep.
Against 2 of the top 5 teams in the league. Hung tough. Didn't cover either one, but hung tough against the Eagles. Had a shot in that one late. Hung tough against the Dolphins. Then they go beat the Jets. Not a great W, but they're not as bad as the 2 losses they've had in these last 2 weeks. I think they're a little better. I think Belichick gets troops, goes to Vegas on the short week. And if you guys remember, they had a crazy game there last year. New England ahead. Raiders scored 2 touchdowns in the last, I believe, it's 32 seconds, scoring a touchdown, tying the game, and then New England trying to score with seconds left. Jacoby Myers, who is now with the Raiders, tries a throwback lateral, which gets picked off, and a run in for a touchdown by the Raiders. So a crazy ending to a game that New England lead. Just think it's a good spot for them to go back there. But yeah, they're looking like one of the worst teams in the league. Just think Belichick, as I said, Hall of Fame coach, he'll devise a plan not to get embarrassed 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah, and you add in the revenge factor from that crazy game from last year, and obviously McDaniels, Garoppolo, both former Belichick products. So definitely, one of those games where Belichick versus former assistants has had a pretty good record so far. Granted, a lot of that was with the Brady era. Brady wins, but nonetheless has had some good wins against the former coaches. And we could talk about one more game here. Eagles and the Jets. No bet here on this one so far. But another quarterback, similar to Justin Fields, what we've seen the last couple of weeks, Justin Fields or Zach Wilson last couple of weeks looking a bit better. Granted, it was against Denver and they ran all over Denver, but now he's going to be going up against one of the better pass rushes in football. Some problems here from Eagles. The Eagles not looking as dominant as they were as last year, started off the season, but early in the season, they got their wins, and slowly but surely, they're starting to get back to form. They're looking like that team they ended up being towards the back end of last season. Second in rushing, fifth in scoring, leading in rushing defense. So the Jets, who able to just get a win all in the rushing game, will they be able to get any type of rushing game going against Philly? Going to be a little bit doubtful there. And weird total read here because two of Eagles' last three went under 46 points per game. Three of Jets' last four went over, which is averaging 40 points per game. You've had the Jets with very low totals going over. You had the Eagles with some high totals going under, which is kind of difficult to read there, but I do lean under on this game. We've seen that with the Eagles against the Patriots, play a bit more low scoring. And then we saw the Jets, obviously, when they play these better offenses, they're able to slow them down. We saw that against Buffalo. I don't think it's going to be as much of a shootout as what we've seen with Jets been playing lately.
Look, Wilson had been playing a little bit better these last couple of weeks. I mean, there was only one way to go for him, but up. That's how bad he was. But they just lost Vera Tucker. They'd lost Dwayne Brown, the left tackle, earlier in the year. Now you're losing your second offensive lineman. And what team's coming? The team that had a ridiculous 70 sacks last year. 15 more than the next team, which was the Chiefs with 55. It's going to be a long afternoon. The Jets, I think, are going to be coming home celebrating Zach Wilson's first win since who God knows when, against an Eagle team that has been said haven't been dominating. They're just winning. Go out there and win their games. They did it against the Rams. Rams got the sharp money last week. Eagles went to the West Coast. They get the win. Geographic, guys, put in your head, Philadelphia as where the Meadowlands is. I still call it the Meadowlands, Jet Stadium, MetLife, whatever they're calling it today. This is not a real road trip for Philly, so it's not like it's a second road game in a row. I think that's going to give them a positive too. But once again, numbers made correctly. The line is 7. That's where I think the line should be, given the circumstances with the Jets losing the offensive lineman. Denver is a sieve on defense. So don't expect the Jets to be running for 180 some odd yards on the ground. And again, I think Wilson is going to be faced with that pass rush of the Eagles. Just waiting to see if Eagles get Cox back. He missed last week. He's a big part of that pass rush.
Yeah, and the Eagles are undefeated lifetime against the Jets, 14-zip. Obviously, not too many meetings in recent years, only 3 of them since 2015. Last one was in 21 there. So we'll see if that undefeatedness continues. Could be a good survivor pool spot maybe for some of you, or a teaser spot if you guys are looking to tease anything there with the Eagles. As a little bit of insight there on into the NFL card on Sunday. We talked yesterday about Thursday Night Football. We had 3 baseball games going on today. We'll see what we end up getting there. So far, 1 bet out in the MLB for today, 4 out for NFL Sunday, 4 out for college football Saturday. If you guys want all those, howtobeatthebookie.com or download the How to Beat the Bookie app. John, I don't know if you have anything else you want to touch in on here.
Yeah, injuries, guys. Right now, still Thursday night, still same. We're still looking for Kelsey. So we're on top of that information. Right now, as we're shooting this video, I'm watching the 49ers go to 6.5. That tells me Deshaun Watson's probably not practicing. We're waiting to get those reports also. So it's all about, once all lines are made, that it's about where the lines go and the injuries. Same thing as baseball. You get a 15-cent move, a guy sitting out of a lineup. We don't have a bet. We could have a bet. So that's why you're going to want to become a member. Even if you watch the podcast every day, which we love having you guys, try to give you the best information around. But up to the minute stuff, that's why you want to become a member, because it could change on no bet into a bet. So that's pretty much how it goes. We even have bets at halftime.
Yep. So make sure you guys keep on tuning in, and make sure you guys check out the app and the website. Sign up there to get all the information. And appreciate you tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe below. Let's make some money.
Let's make some money.